Ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome you to the 2021 State of the City. Thank you for being here. Okay, now it's for the game of 21 questions. I'm getting ready for that, right? Well, it is my honor to introduce these two gentlemen here next to me, seated. We'll start with our mayor, Don Warren. Don was elected in November 3rd, 2020 as mayor of Tyler. He's a native Tylerite and has been an oil and gas professional for the last 40 years. He is owner of Lamoco, Inc., a small oil and gas asset management firm he formed in 1994. Don has a strong record of public service, having served as a council member for District 4 for 3 consecutive terms. He currently serves as a board member for Highway 80 Rescue Mission, Hispanic Business Alliance, and is an auxiliary board member for the Souls College of Business at UT Tyler. He is also a community board member on the Nurse Family Partnership at UT Health. Don serves on the Behavioral Health Leadership Team, the Mayor's Homelessness and Poverty Roundtable, Catalyst 100, the Housing Council for East Texas Human Needs Network, and is an advocate for parks and quality of life projects within the city. He is a member of the Tyler Economic Development Council and a member of the Rotary Club of South Tyler. He is married to Shelley and has 2 grown daughters and 7 grandchildren. That's a lot, Don. Thank you for being here today. To his left and my right, we have Pat Stacy. Pat was born and raised in Dallas. He graduated from Stephen F. Austin State University in Nacogdoches with a major in radio, television, and a minor in business management. Pat interned at the KDFW TV in Dallas during his college years, with which cemented his interest in the television business. Pat started his career with KLTV in 1986 and has held numerous positions in operations, promotions, research, and advertising sales. Pat has served the East Texas community through involvement with the American Heart Association, Muscular Dystrophy Association, Tyler Area Chamber of Commerce, Children's Village, University of Texas at Tyler Patriot Organization, and the United Way. In August of 2009, he was named the VP and General Manager for KLTV and is committed to keeping KLTV in a position of leadership throughout the communities the station serves. Pat is married with a daughter and a son. Guys, welcome to the stage. Thank you, Pat, for doing this. Before they get started, I believe there's a short video that we need to show.
Of the office for mayor at large.
2020 was a year like no other, but through it all, the City of Tyler continued to work hard for you. Our amazing team of public servants provided unmatched service in spite of a global pandemic. When the first case of COVID-19 was detected in a neighboring county, the City of Tyler coordinated a multi-agency emergency response to combat the virus and keep our residents safe. When fresh air was so vital, the city provided clean parks and public spaces for you to spread out and feel safe. When we had to stay apart while working together, we found new, smarter ways to collaborate, meaning less traffic in city offices and fewer chances of spreading disease. And we made sure that while businesses closed and people were sent home, you never had to wonder if we were here for you. We kept the projects important to you moving forward. We worked hard to rebuild trust, reinforcing that law enforcement in Tyler, Texas is here for all of us, and continue to respond with kindness and compassion where needed and amazing strength and endurance when called upon, and responded around the clock to provide critical repair during unprecedented weather events. Because of this hard work, creativity, and attention to safety, the work of the City of Tyler continued to move forward with that called to serve spirit present in everything we do. I'm Mayor Don Warren. Being ready for our future means never being satisfied by what we've accomplished. 2020 was disruptive, but in that disruption, we find incredible opportunity. We must tap into this moment to take advantage of new technology, ideas, and opportunities that meet 21st century challenges head on. That's why we adopted our Tyler First plan all those years ago. It calls us to do more than repair the systems of the past. The Tyler First plan creates a roadmap for continuous improvement so that the drive to innovate becomes our new normal. Above all, we can't let differences blind us to the common humanity in the home we all share. Tyler First means people first. All that we do together. And for each other, now more than ever, it's important that we work together as one city. We enter this new decade by recommitting to the Tyler First vision. We are called to serve, and we will lead with our values. We will work together across all our differences to tackle our toughest challenges, and we will leave no one behind.
Well, welcome, Mr. Mayor. Does that sound a little unique coming towards you?
It's a little weird, but I'm good with it.
Your sea legs on that. We're excited for everybody to be here today and go through, kind of walk through a little bit, something a little bit different. However, you have your annual report hopefully in front of you, and graciously, the mayor has agreed to walk us through it one page at a time. And no, you're not going to do that, are you? So we're going too fast for the city employees there. They got a little tense going through that. So now we've kind of amended the format today a little bit. And it's kind of a fireside chat because I would imagine most, if not all of these people voted for you, but you may not even know really who Don Warren is. And this is maybe an opportunity not only to hear about vision and what's going on with the city, but also learn a little bit about Don. So kind of a fireside chat. If it'll make you more comfortable, we can build a fire and warm things up a little bit, but ERCOT probably wouldn't appreciate that. They'd start rolling blackouts on that.
I'm good.
So.
You know, it's great to be here, and it's good to see everyone out there. It's a full house, and I love it. I was born and raised here in Tyler. I went to Bell, Moore, and Lee, and went to Texas Tech University, guns up. I've been in the oil and gas business, like it's been said, for 40 years, my entire career. I'm married to Chelly, and I've got two daughters, Ashley and Courtney. Y'all wave. Love y'all. And I've got 7 grandkids. And time goes by so fast, but 7 grandkids. I had 6 grandkids about 6 months ago, and now it's 7. Good time to stop. But it's great to be here. And I've got to thank my pastor, David Dykes, for allowing us to be here today. And not only today, but with everything going on with Harvey Hall and the new Rose Complex, people they don't have a place to have their events and for this next year. And Green Acres has opened up their house to all these different places to host their events for the upcoming year. So, David, I just want to thank you and the staff of Green Acres for opening up your home to everybody in the community. So appreciate y'all.
So being the mayors, more than being in a video or the occasional proclamation, you guys are putting in a lot of work. What's brought you to this place in your life?
Well, that's a great question, but I know the exact time. It was 2008. And my daughter and her husband and new grandchild in Atlanta, Ashley, they said, we're moving to Tyler. And at the time I was working in the corporate world, but I also had this side business called Lamoco. And I was burning the road and spending 12 hours a day working. And I realized that if I didn't make some changes in my life, I wasn't going to be able to see my daughter or my wife or this new grandchild. And so when I turned 50, I quit my job. And I kept working with Lamoco and kept pursuing those endeavors. And I took off for a year and did nothing but play golf and went to movies and went to Barnes & Noble and read books. And I was lonely and miserable. And I realized this is just not God's purpose for my life. And so I started volunteering with different nonprofits and got involved with the homeless and all kinds of things, and got on some different boards and commissions, and eventually got on the Planning and Zoning Board, and I really liked it. And I thought, why not? So I ran for council, and I liked it. And what I realized that on city council and at the local level, you can really make things happen. And you can do park projects, and you can see your vision and your dream come true. And so when my term was coming up as city council person, I thought, I'm not done, and I want to do more. And so here I am. This is not some dream I had as a little kid or even as an adult, but this is where I am, and I feel like I'm in a perfect spot. So here I am.
Well, great story. Now, so you've changed the professional 12 hours a day to the volunteer 12 hours a day. Because I know you put in a ton of time, as does your council and so many others that are in a volunteer mode. But tell us about your council.
Well, let me tell you a little bit about each one of them. I'm going to be brief, and I'm going to make them stand up as I say their name. Stuart, are you over there? Stuart Haney he's in his first term and was elected in 2021. He represents Central Tyler, which is known for Faulkner Park, which includes trails, playgrounds, playground, the new skateboard park, and part of Legacy Trails. So I want to make sure that you see what he looks like. So if you live in that district or around that area, before he leaves, you can grab him and tell him about potholes or whatever needs you have. Thanks, Stuart. In District 2, Broderick, you got to stand up. Broderick was first elected in 2018 and is in his second term. Broderick covers the west part of Tyler, which includes 8 parks, including Tyler's Crown Jewel, the Rose Garden. It also includes Fun Forest, Lindsay Park, and a portion of Legacy Trails. So get a good idea on Broderick. Thanks, Broderick. District 3, we have Dr. Shirley McKellar, who's currently the Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you, Shirley. Shirley was first elected in 2019, is in her second term. She covers the northwest part of the city that has 10 city parks, including Emmett J. Scott, Waldert, Gasway, all recently renovated. Thanks, Shirley. District 4, we have James Wynn. James covers the northeast part of town, which is my old city council district. And it's known for Bergfeld Park, the amphitheater, the children's park, as well as Hillside Park. Thanks, James. District 5, we've got Bob Westbrook. Bob was first elected in 2017. Where's Bob? Oh, there he is. Hey, Bob. Bob's in his third term, and Bob covers the east part of Tyler, which is known for Golden Road Park. Thanks, Bob. District 6, we got Brad Curtis. Brad covers the south part of town, which is known for Southside Park, Pollard Park, and Rose Rudman Trail. So I'm glad these guys are here. We've got a great council. And as we go along, and if you ever have questions about your district, call your councilman. People just don't know to do that. They can do it, call anytime, day or night. Yeah, don't call me call me till 7.
That's great. Is it an open meetings rule that Bob has to sit like 100 yards away from everybody else, or something in there? So, well, as we get into thinking about the state of the city, you can't have a discussion like that without talking about COVID. How were city operations affected? What was that experience?
Well, when we first started with COVID back in March of last year, Mayor Hines was a leader at the time, and he came up with Net Health and with the county and with the medical community and schools and restaurants and everyone to try to develop a plan that would save lives. And it worked. And it's a close-knit group. And what I would like to do, I've got to recognize some people that were really involved in this in the get-go. So don't stand up yet. I'll just get you to do it at the end. But I want to acknowledge Chief David Coble and city staff, Judge Moran in the county. We've got a fabulous relationship with the county. Chief Jimmy Toller, the hospitals and the healthcare workers that did so much and just did so much. George Roberts and Ned Health, the local media with all the press releases and press conferences that they had to keep the public informed, the Emergency Operations Center and all those that participated, and Dr. Levine and Dr. McGay-Hay and Dr. Crum, all people that have been involved in just keeping us aware of what's going on, what we need to do going forward. And so anyway, if you participated in any sort of emergency response to COVID, I would appreciate if you just stand up so we can acknowledge you.
No, what a great group. And you said great synergy between a lot of different organizations. So city operations, you guys are tasked with keeping a city going while everything was shut down. How do you do that? What was it like?
Well, that was an interesting deal. You know, when you've got people building buildings and building houses, and they've got to have inspections done. So how do you have an inspection done when people are not trying to meet face to face? Well, you do it on FaceTime. You know, when you have the police that go out and they are going to give a traffic ticket, do they get face to face with someone when we're in the height of COVID? Not so much. And so we relaxed going out and stopping people and giving tickets. But so we did reduce traffic enforcement, but that day's over. and we've got some catching up to do. So. But seriously, you know, when you think about the police stopping folks and you got the fire department out battling fires, and every time they get with the public, they have to put on PPE, and it was a struggle. And the library kept going, as did Liberty with virtual meetings and virtual deals with the kids. And all of our council meetings and planning and zoning meetings, these were all on Zoom or Teams. I don't guess we're allowed to use Zoom. We did Teams with the city of Tyler. Never works, but we try. Sorry, Benny. I didn't mean to blast you. And then Harvey Hall, you know, that was used as a hub for vaccines for the whole time. But, you know, we'd learned to adapt just like all of y'all did. I mean, we all had to learn how to deal with it. And I was telling somebody that yesterday or this weekend when I cleaned out my car, I threw away about 15 masks, and they were under my seats and everywhere else, so it's just good to get rid of that stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's a new experience. So had to adapt. How has the city fared overall?
Well, I'm going to go back a little further than just the last year or so. You know, starting back in 2014, we had this revitalization of Burkeville Park. And since 2014, we've done the new playground, the amphitheater, and the splash pad, and now we're doing the tennis courts. But when we started that project, it ignited a movement. And so even through COVID, we've remained working on parks, and we've worked on so many parks, and we've spent $10 million since 2014 on our parks. And back page over. It's just it's been a great deal. We've where did I go?
Everything parks, and then we had fire stations also through that.
Who skipped a page? What page are you on?
Page 4. Sales tax. So you were the most videoed mayor ever.
No, I'm going to go back.
I'm going to go back. We're going to go farther back.
I'm going to go further back.
Okay.
Because parks are going to come up, but I'm going to go further back.
All right.
I flipped 2 pages over. I'm not as good as my pastor. Okay, he's been doing this forever. But seriously, you know, when you talk about how has Tyler fared, you know, I go back to 1986 and in the oil and gas industry and being in that industry, you know, when things happened, the city died. And so, you know, this time around here we've had something that's come up, but we've diversified, and so here we are dealing with, we've got industry, we've got medical, we've got education, we've got retail, we've got oil and gas still, but we've had more to deal with than we have in the past to fall back on. And then you look at our whole area where we're a population of 110,000 and we swell to $250,000 people every day. So people are coming here to shop. And then we're known as the pay-as-you-go community, and we pay cash. But one of the downsides of that is we rely so heavily on sales tax. And the downfall of that is when you have COVID or you have other things that affect your economy, people don't shop as much. So when COVID started and we were trying to figure out what do we need to do, each department leader was tasked with what can you cut back in your department to make up for the loss of sales tax. But the things really didn't slow down that much, and you know, the residential construction, the business construction, it really kept going, and there were capital improvements, and there was a lot going on, and this is a good way to gauge it. You know, when the COVID first started in March and April of 2020, we thought the sales tax was just going to be dead, and it was affected, but not nearly as affected as we thought it was going to be. And so when you think of 2020 to 2021 fiscal year, that's last October to present date, we're 12.45% higher sales tax than we were the year before. In April of this year, we are 54.8% higher than April of 2020. And you think, we have bounced back. I mean, we are resilient, and people complain about the traffic on Broadway, and I get it, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But I think this is a good gauge of people that are out shopping and spending their money. And you talk about the hotel occupancy tax, and people say, nobody came to Tyler, nobody stayed in our hotels. Wrong. You know, you'd see these white buses going around town, and what they were doing, they were transporting these traveling nurses. And Tyler was a hub for the traveling nurses for East Texas. So where do these traveling nurses stay? They stay in our hotels. And so we had no hotels closed. Our hotels managed. The hotels did great. And our hotels now are even bouncing back more than before. So all I can say is that we have a very resilient community that has bounced back, and we're on our way.
Yeah. It's been impressive how steady it's been, and even the increases that you know. No other mayor has been videotaped riding a skateboard at a skate park. Perhaps a few have slid down a new slide, but parks, other projects were ongoing as well.
Well, since I've already talked about the parks a little bit, I'm not going to talk about it again. But I will say some of the parks that we have worked on during COVID, Hillside Park, Southside Park, Fun Forest, Wildert, Emmett Scott, Gasway, Faulkner Skate Park. And the thing that was fascinating is that when people were required to stay at home during COVID, where do you think people went? They went to the parks. And our parks were more crowded during COVID than they've ever been before, and our parks were in a good place to have them come and visit. You know, other things that occurred during COVID was we opened up 2 new fire stations. We have a new fire station on Gentry and Palace that was $5 million. We got another one on Cherry Hill for South Tyler that was $3.3 million. So things were still continuing to go on. Another thing that to me is really cool, and it may bore you all to death, but it's called ISO rating, which involves our fire department. And you think, ISO rating, what does that mean? We have gone to a score of 1, and we've been a 2 for the last decade. And when you go to a score of 1, that means you have been ranked as the highest ranking fire department in the country. And you can't be ranked any higher. And which means you've got a good force, a fire group, you got good water pressure, you got fire hydrants in the right place, you got response times that are better than anybody else. And so if y'all are redoing your insurance premiums on your house, this is a good time to tell them that your city is now rated a 1 versus a 2, so you can get a break on your insurance premium. So that is awesome. So, I mean, to me, that's something to be proud of. And Chief Coble, you do a fantastic job, not only with the COVID, but it's taken a decade of people on council and folks currently on council to get us to this level of a number one. And I'm just proud to be there.
Yep. So you've got a city council made up of council people, different districts, all have to work in harmony. How do you balance growth throughout the city?
Well, balanced growth is something that I've always promoted. And when I ran for council or ran for mayor, my little slogan was Donald Warren, Mayor for all of Tyler. And I've always felt that. And one of the things we've worked on for the last 7 years is creating more rooftops in North Tyler. And the goal is 3,000. And we've given incentives for developers to build in North Tyler. I've been talking to different contractors about building in North Tyler, and it's catching on. One thing that we've done behind the new fire station number one, we have a new deal that we're building called Hidden Palace, and it's 11 lots, and we've used federal money to build the streets and to put in the infrastructure. But it's affordable housing that's going to be 11 small homes, 1,300 square feet, that are for people that need affordable housing. And we need more affordable housing, so that's a project that I'm really excited about. Something we're doing on the West Loop. It's called a PID, or a Public Improvement District. And it's 540 acres over by Bellwood Lake, and we're working with a Dallas developer. And he's being incentivized to a certain degree to go out there and do this new development. And as everybody knows, the real estate market's kind of in a weird spot, and we don't have enough inventory, and there's not enough lots. And so we're working with this developer to develop this 540 acres. And the hope is that once you grow on the West Loop, that it'll expand further north up into North Tyler. So, South Tyler is getting pretty full. And it's time to develop other parts of Tyler, including going up the west side.
Now, downtown, if you've been downtown, you've seen how vibrant it is, kind of with new parking meters, right? So those are not lost in this as well, the new rates on those. But it's growing, gaining momentum. How key is downtown?
Okay, I'm going to start off with the parking meters. We do have two new parking meters, and y'all remember the day back when we had meter maids? We don't have meter maids anymore. We have ambassadors. And the ambassadors wear shorts and a t-shirt, but they still have the ability to write tickets. But
Yes, they do.
we're down one ambassador, so we just have one ambassador. So if you go downtown and you don't put a quarter in the meter, there's a good chance you're not going to get a ticket. But the tickets, if you do get one, I think they've gone up to like $13. I don't know what they are.
Oh, I think they're more than that. I can.
For some reason, I talked to the ambassador the other day. I said, "You remember I drive a white BMW?" And so I've been fortunate enough not to get a ticket.
We've all had that conversation with him. I can promise you. It's me.
So anyway, when we talk about downtown, gosh, every vibrant city has a vibrant downtown. And back in the 90s, when Rick Eltoff put in Rick's, we all thought, Rick, you are crazy. I mean, that will never work in downtown Tyler. And it worked. And then John O'Sullivan goes and starts building these lofts and redoing these lofts, and they're full all the time. And now we've got new apartments and townhomes going in on the west over by the King Chevrolet. We've got development going on South Broadway. We got Clint Childs working on projects. We got Will Hersey working on projects. Sam Scarborough. You got all these young people that are bringing this new energy to downtown, and it's fabulous. And then you look at these restaurants. Prime 102, Rick's, Culture, Don Juan's. I'm going to miss somebody, but sorry. But
Taqueria.
And you got Taqueria. You got and Andy's Custard. When you go downtown
Chick-fil-A.
now, it's 7 o'clock. Who did I forget?
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A. Don't forget. Sorry, Jeff.
At 1948.
That's 1948, where we have coffee. I got to back up for a second. My coffee group I should have apologized for them in the beginning. So if they start heckling at any point in time, this table right here, I've had coffee with them. I've had coffee with them for over 10 years. And we have a rule at the coffee shop is that you can talk about city stuff on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, but you can't talk about city stuff on Mondays and Fridays. So what does your plaque say on your table? I can't read.
Mayor's.
TWT Advisory.
Yes, it's the Mayor's TWT Advisory Board. So it's good to have my group here. But anyway.
That explains a lot.
Anyway, they give me all kinds of advice, so I apologize for most of it. But anyway, downtown, it really has changed, and people are excited about it. And about 2 months ago, the city manager and I and some other folks, we went over to Sulphur Springs because everybody hears about Sulphur Springs and they're downtown. And we walked around and we ate lunch and we met with the city manager, and it's a different vibe or a different feel. And number one, they don't have any traffic lights downtown. And I know some people would like not to have the traffic lights, but they don't have traffic lights. And they have people, their sidewalks are wider. And so the restaurants, their people are out there eating out there in the days and with umbrellas. And they've got trees planted all up and down the sidewalks instead of having trees in a median, and the pace is slower. And so when you're trying to cross the street, someone looks at you and they go like this for you to cross the street instead of something like this. Sorry, Pastor. But really, it really gives you a different feel, and I think that's a feel that we like. You know, we talk about connectivity and walkability, and sometimes we get lazy and we don't want to walk, but we need to. And so that's one of the things we're really working on in the downtown is to create more walkability and connectivity between these guys' developments on King's Chevrolet and over to the east, just to connect all of downtown together and make it even better.
Yep. I just Googled, and Sulphur Springs does not have parking meters. So I know. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
It's funny.
Going back a little bit.
It's funny. They don't have them.
Chief's not laughing.
We have
either,
to make up revenue for not giving tickets.
Yes. 6 years ago, the city council, you're on the city council then, y'all recommitted to infrastructure improvement. This is water, service, wastewater, streets, drainage, all that. What can we see in the near future on that?
Well, it's a commitment that like you say, we started 6-7 years ago, and we don't have a choice but to put money into it, and none of that is cheap. And when you think about water, the city has spent $17 million since 2016 improving our water system, and we plan on spending $22 million in addition over the next 5 years. So it's a continuing commitment that we have to do. We don't have a choice. But I will say this, that we got a water quality report that came out this week that was reported that the city of Tyler water is excellent. So that's something I'm proud of. The city wastewater, sewer, we got in a little issue with the EPA 4 years ago. We entered into an agreement to improve our water and wastewater system, and we're on track with that. It's going to be a 10-year program, and we'll end up spending approximately $200 million, if not more, improving our wastewater. So it's a big commitment, and it's one that we don't have a choice. We've got to do it. Street improvements, we spend $5 million on streets, and the goal is just like in grade school, where you get graded, A, B, C, D, E, I don't know anything about S, but, a score of an 80 is low B. Well, our goal, I'm sure it should be higher, but our goal for the streets is to have a goal of around 80. And so we feel that if we spend $5 million a year, we can maintain a goal of 80, 81, and that's the goal we shoot for. We're in the middle of redoing Cambridge Road at about $8.5 million, and then another $1.5 million on MLK. that we're wrapping up a project there. So we've got a big commitment on our roadways and on our streets. Drainage, it's a problem, and the more we build in Tyler and the more concrete we pour, is the more drainage problems we have. And the pastor had a major one behind his house recently, and a house, they started losing part of their pool, and it's a major issue in the city, and so we've got to address it. And in 2020 we spent $1 million on drainage projects. This year we're spending $2.8 million, and next year we plan on spending $4.4. So we can see it escalating, and the need to improve drainage is it's something that exists, and we've got to deal with it. I'll mention the parks one more time. We're not done with the parks. They are part of our quality of life, and we've got other parks that we need to do work on, and there'll be a major something that we work on, and I'm excited about that as well. And I'm going to bring up one last thing, and I know one person in my coffee group will like this. He'll probably cheer. Is about our brick streets. The brick streets. It's part of our culture. It's part of our heritage. And we can't ignore them. And for the past 6 years, we just haven't done much with our brick streets. And during Winter Storm Uri and other times, we've got a tremendous amount of utility cuts where you'll see just asphalt going across the brick street, and people that have new systems or utilities put in, the bricks are taken out, and we haven't put the bricks back. And so we're working to bid this project out to repair all the utility cuts and start a movement to redo the brick streets. We have our brick streets that are rated just like the rest of the streets in Tyler, and we recently got our report back, and it shows what the rating on each brick street is. So we're going to start looking at those and figuring out which street to tackle first. But for those of you that do have an interest in the brick streets, we're not going to ignore them any longer.
Very good. You touched on it, traffic flow, traffic system rehabilitation. Some's been done. What's left to do?
Well, we started a project a year or so ago, and the plan is to spend $12.7 million on our traffic system over a 10-year period. And the phase one is to retime 18 intersections, and also to put infrastructure in there to where our traffic boxes will talk to our engineers remotely, because right now everything's manual. And Broadway is the end of the Broadway is hopefully to be retimed by the end of October, so it'll be done by Christmas, hopefully November, and we'll test it out. Now, the thing about traffic, and I think so many people, when they talk about improving traffic, and they talk about lights that talk to other lights, and having a smart city and do different things to improve your traffic. The system that we're putting in is not a smart city system. It's not something that we've invested $40 million in it and it's going to be obsolete in 3 or 4 or 5 years. We're doing it a little bit at a time so that when technology does change, that we can change with it. So the deal is to spend $1 million a year and to start with Broadway and to get those retimed. But it's going to be a gradual change, and I hate traffic, but traffic, like I said earlier, just means people are out spending money. And personally, if I'm going down Broadway, if I can go between 37 and 42 miles an hour, I can get through Broadway without hitting any lights. So you kind of got to go in and out of traffic. But
I've seen some of these folks talking to the traffic lights. Is that what you're talking about on that? I'm not sure. All right. A couple of last questions. Tyler was recently ranked number 17 in the top 20 safest cities in Texas for 2021 by safety.com. What do you think that we're doing right, and where are there still some challenges?
You went to another page.
It's the TV guy's fault. 9. This
is It's a good question, and one that's pretty personal. You know, and it has to do with police outreach, and we do have our police department cares about everybody in the community, and we do the church and community events, and we've had them here, and we do them all over the city where people that live here or live in that community go to that church, and you meet with your elected officials, you meet with your churches, and you talk, and you raise questions, you ask questions. You know, municipal court reform, you know, there are people in the past that didn't pay their tickets and they went to jail. And now it's being reformed to where if you don't pay your ticket, you can pay it out over time. You can do community service. You can do other things as an option from just going to jail. National Night Out. You know, every October we have over 100 parties in the city where we go and we hang out with people everywhere and eat, whether it's a turkey leg, a pizza, or a cheeseburger in somebody's backyard. We get to meet people all over the city. And one of the fun things we did in 2018, we did a survey, a community survey, where we went out and talked to citizens in the city. And they ranked traffic, they ranked all the different things in the city, and public safety was ranked the highest of anything in the city with a score of an 88. And so I think our community embraces our police. I know our police embraces the community, but I think that's part of what makes our city in the top 20 of the safest cities in the state.
Right. Excited. All right. A couple of last questions. We talked a little bit earlier about the financial position right now. Where is the community as a whole? Where are we going? What do you see?
Well, this is a couple of stats, okay? The cost of living in Tyler is 8% below the national average. Average home value is $217,000. Our city is getting younger, 33.7 years versus 35 in the state. We have a 4% growth per year. Our unemployment during COVID went from 3.1 up to 5.6, or we're at 5.6, so we're on the rebound. And Tyler is ranked 4th in the U.S. as one of the fastest growing cities as far as income. So there's a lot going on, and a lot of that has to do with healthcare, and I see healthcare people here. You know, we have 8,891 people employed in healthcare. So it's not like 1986 when we were just dependent on oil and gas. We're now big into the healthcare industry. In 1995, there was a vote to have a half-cent sales tax. And when you vote on a half-cent sales tax, you can be a 4A city or a 4B city. 4A means your money goes towards putting back into the community as far as community or economic development. 4B means you're going to put your money into infrastructure and capital improvements. The city of Tyler voted in 4B. Well, since 1995, the city has spent $290 million in cash on capital improvements and infrastructure, which is huge. Now, what is so neat about this story is a few years ago, a company came to Tyler that had been courted by a big metropolitan area that said, we want to give you $3 million to move to our city. They had the 4A type deal where they use cash to buy businesses or pay businesses to come to their city. And so they went to them and said, we'll give you $3 million. And then they were also thinking about coming to Tyler. But we didn't offer them $3 million because we don't have that money to throw around. But we offered some incentives. So they came to Tyler and they drove around. And what happened when they drove around was they saw quality of life, they saw parks, they saw trails, they saw public safety, they saw education, they saw health care, they saw everything in our city that makes our city what it is. And what did they do? They chose Tyler as a place to move their business. So did we make the right choice of putting our money towards capital improvements and infrastructure? Yes, because, I mean, this is why people are moving to Tyler, is because of the way we are, the way we look, the way we feel. And I just think we made a wise decision in 95, and I'm looking forward to continuing that in the future.
Right. That is an exciting time. All right, last question. It's the last page. I'm going to try not to mix this one up. I went to SFA, and that's my challenge. What's the big game changer driving that vision you just described?
Well, there's 3 things on my list, and the first one is the new medical school. And I see Dr. Calhoun back there, and thank you for everything you've done to bring the new medical school to Tyler. And, the economic impact of this, you look at the Perryman report, it's $1.7 billion a year, which is one of the biggest things that has ever happened in the city of Tyler, and $18,000 direct and indirect jobs over the next 10 years. So this is one of the biggest things that's happened to our community going forward. And once again, Dr. Calhoun, thank you for what you've done to get us here. Another one that has really, over the time of COVID, has been more apparent than before, is broadband and internet. And how people out in the country and some people even in the city don't have access to wire, to broadband, and being able to even go to school virtually because they don't have it at their house. And so, broadband, is the future of businesses and education and healthcare. And, if you're in healthcare and you want to do telemedicine, you don't want something on your screen buffering. You got to have good wire, and so that's something that's a challenge, but it's also a need. And one thing I'll share with you is that we've had 2 companies come to Tyler over the last 3 months that have expressed an interest in providing internet service inside the city limits. So if anybody's ever talked about that's something I'm excited about, and I'm not blasting any one company or anything, but I'm not. I'm really not. But when you think behind traffic, what the number 2 complaint is in the city of Tyler? You guess it. So that's something that in the free enterprise, they're coming to us. They're not asking us to invest. They want to come here and tap into our market. And the last one I want to talk about is the Rose Complex, the $28 million complex that will replace Harvey Hall. And we're using cash and donations and hotel occupancy tax bonds. And people are saying, well, I thought the city doesn't borrow money. Well, this is just what I call creative financing. When someone comes and stays in a hotel here, they pay hotel motel tax. There's a 7% tax and a 2% tax. The 2% tax is meant to go towards your conference center. That's the only thing it can go to. So over the last 4 or 5 years, we have saved money from that 2% and put it in the bank. So now it's time to build a new conference center. So we've got that money in the bank. We're using cash from the half-cent sales tax, but we're also committing and leveraging the 2% hotel motel tax to have the bonds to borrow the money to pay for the Rose Complex. The thing that's really cool is we were rated high for the bonds. We had a local bank buy half the bonds because they support the project. So everything just fell in. We got the bid on the project and it came in lower than we thought it was going to. Everything just fell in line to where this thing is like it's supposed to happen. Everything just lined up. So we're going to have 42,000 square feet of space in there for conference space. We're going to have additional space in the Mayfair and the Rose Center building. So we'll have a total of 60,000 square feet. It's going to be huge. It's going to be big. And we're going to allow Pastor David to get his crosswalk back. So we're very excited about it. So, there's a lot going on in our city and a lot to be proud of. And at the heart of what I see is it's about relationships. And it's about friendships and what we have with each other. And as I said earlier, our relationship with Judge Moran, It's probably one of the best relationships the city's had with the county in years. And, you know, the relationship with Henry with the chamber and Scott Martinez with the Tyler Development Council, it's just great. Marty Crawford with TISD. I mean, we all can call each other anytime, day or night, and talk to each other and have a great conversation. You know, our city council, you know, we've got a great council, and once again, we communicate, we talk. And when it comes right down to it, it's not just the people I've mentioned that makes our community great. It's everybody in this room. It's everybody in this room that makes a company that chose to move here rather than to that big metropolitan area. It's the people in this room that make people say, I want to move to Tyler, Texas. So I'm so excited about that. And the last kudo I want to give to is to our city manager, Ed Broussard. I know he's not expecting this. But as we navigated through COVID and the Winter Storm Uri and everything we went through, here we are today, and where is it? It's not there. No mask. And you know, it's a community that worked together. It's Ed's leadership. It's staff's involvement. And so I'm proud of our community. I'm proud of Ed. I'm proud of our staff. And I'm just proud of where we are. And the last thing I'll say is together we can accomplish much. So I'm proud to be your mayor. I'm excited about the future, and I love the city of Tyler. So thank you.
Help me thank everybody that serves, especially our mayor, Don Warren. Thank you, Don. Thank you.